usually think of storms as, just wind and rain. Meteorology, straightforward.
Right. Loud, maybe inconvenient, but predictable in a way.
But what if? What if sometimes they carry something else, something unsettling?
Like the weather itself is just the cover.
Exactly. So tonight we're diving into that. We've got 3 firsthand accounts, really terrifying experiences that all happened on stormy nights.
Okay.
We have Janice P. from St. Louis, Marcus from out in the California Rockies, and Susan Penbrook down in Florida.
Different places, same kind of trigger, it sounds like.
Yeah, and these are like true style stories. People who actually lived through this stuff that's hard to explain away. Ready to jump in?
Absolutely. It's fascinating how these situations, these extreme weather events, seem to almost lower the veil, perhaps?
Lower the veil, I like that, because our control slips, right, and the weather goes wild.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Your senses are limited rain, darkness, fog. It's inherently disorienting. Maybe that's when other things can slip through.
Okay, let's start with Janice P. Picture this. It's late, past 2 a.m. She's driving with friends. Taylor, Josh, Danielle, they're buzzing after a concert.
Right. Good mood. Probably tired.
Then, boom, the sky just opens up. Massive thunderclap right overhead, rain coming down in sheets, and this fog rolls in. But it's weird. It's this thick, almost yellow fog.
Yellow fog. That's immediately strange. Not your typical gray mist.
Not at all. Everything gets blanketed. Then the GPS just freaks out, goes totally haywire.
Uh-oh.
And then the car just dies, gives up the ghost. They're stranded, middle of nowhere, on some road they don't recognize at all.
Wow. So technology fails, transport fails, they're completely cut off. That yellow fog detail really adds this layer of wrongness.
Totally. So they're stuck, right? And through this weird fog, they see lights, like a small town.
Okay, maybe some help.
That's what they're hoping. They managed to find a sign that says, "Welcome to Briar Glen."
Briar Glen. Never heard of it.
Neither had they. And this is where it gets really, really odd. The town is dead silent. Empty streets, no lights on in houses or businesses, nothing.
Like a ghost town.
Yeah.
But it just appeared.
Pretty much, like a stage set dropped in the fog. But then, this old woman shows up, just appears, and she offers them shelter in a guest house.
An occupant in an empty town, that's questionable hospitality.
Well, they're soaked, freezing, totally stuck. What else are they going to do? They accept.
Yeah, I guess you don't have much choice there.
So that night, things get worse. Janice says she wakes up and sees a figure in the room. Not one of her friends, just standing there in the shadows with this horrible grin.
Oh, no.
And Danielle hears scratching, like insistent scratching at the windows.
Okay, that's terrifying. The grinning figure, the sounds.
Yeah.
Classic creepiness escalated.
The morning comes, and Josh, he's gone. Just vanished.
Gone. Like out of the locked guest house.
Or just
Disappeared.
Just gone. They didn't wait around to figure it out. They bolted, got out of Briar Glen as fast as they could, and get this at the car, the one that died. It starts right up.
Whoa. Okay, so they escape.
They escape. But back home, they try to find it, Briar Glen. They check maps, search online, everything. Nothing. It doesn't exist. No record of it anywhere. Like it was never there.
A phantom town that traps people.
Seems like it. But then 2 weeks later, Josh turns up.
He's alive. Where?
Miles away from where they were. Soaking wet, totally disoriented, and he can barely speak, just whispers one thing over and over.
What did he say?
He whispered, "They only let me go because I forgot my name."
Forgot his name. What does that even mean? It's incredibly chilling. The town isn't on the map, and the price of leaving is your identity.
Right. It leaves you with so many questions. What kind of place demands that? What happened to him in those 2 weeks?
And what were they? That grinning figure. Chills. Utterly disturbing.
It really is. Okay, let's shift location now. California. Marcus's story. He was planning a 3-day hike in the Rockies with his friends Trevor and Chloe.
Okay, Weldon is setting this time.
Yeah, like a last trip before winter really set in. Sounds normal enough. But on the second day, they took a wrong turn. An unmarked trail. Not on any maps.
Ugh. The unmarked trail again. Seems like a common theme, stepping off the known path.
Definitely. And soon after that, thick fog rolls in. Freezing cold fog. Visibility basically zero.
So, lost, cold, and blind. Recipe for anxiety right there.
And then they start hearing things. At first they think, okay, it's the wind, trees, echoes.
Natural sounds amplified by the fog and fear. Makes sense.
But then it changes. They start hearing a woman's voice calling for help, always sounding like she's just out of sight in the fog.
Ooh, the disembodied voice. Luring, maybe? Or just something else?
Creepy, right? And at night, it gets worse. They hear footsteps. distinct footsteps circling their tent every night.
Circling the tent. That's primal fear territory. Being stalked by something unseen, the psychological pressure must have been immense.
Totally. Then, the third night, Chloe gets woken up, not by footsteps, but by a whisper right in her ear.
Oh, God. What did it say?
It whispered, "You'll all leave, but none of you whole."
That is horrifyingly specific. A direct threat. And then
And then Trevor vanishes. Just like Josh, gone without a trace.
Trevor's gone. After that whisper.
Yeah. They look for him, obviously, panicked. They find his backpack, his flashlight, and his digital recorder.
Okay. Was it on?
It was, and what's on it?
Yeah.
It's maybe the worst part. 10 minutes of audio. It's just Trevor
Uh-huh.
crying
Yeah.
and whispering the same thing over and over.
What was he whispering?
It's wearing my skin. It's wearing my skin.
Oh, my God. Wearing his skin.
Yeah.
That implies something took him, imitated him. Body horror territory.
Exactly. That loss of self, that physical violation. It's sickening.
Unbelievably disturbing.
Yeah.
So what happened to Marcus and Chloe?
Marcus barely remembers escaping. His memory is all fragmented. He just sort of came to in a rescue truck.
Trauma response, probably, blocking it out.
Must be. The aftermath was huge. Chloe apparently moved right after, just couldn't deal. And Marcus, he hasn't been back to the woods. Ever.
I wouldn't blame him.
And he says sometimes when the fog gets really thick, even now, he thinks he hears her. That woman's voice, still calling for help.
Wow. So it left a permanent scar. The trauma lingers. The fog itself becomes a trigger tied to that voice and whatever happened to Trevor.
It's like these storms, this fog.
Yeah.
It rips a hole in reality, lets something in.
That seems to be the thread, doesn't it? A thinning of the boundaries.
Which brings us to our last story. Susan Penbrook, down in Florida. This happened when she was 15. Big thunderstorm rolling through.
Florida thunderstorms are no joke. Intense.
Right. So she decides to fake a stomachache, play hooky from school.
Okay, a relatable start. Staying home alone during a storm.
Yeah, seems cozy, right? But then she hears a knock.
From the door.
No, that's the thing. The knock comes from inside her bedroom closet.
Whoa, okay, nope, that's immediately wrong.
Impossible.
Totally unnerving.
Hmm.
Then, a little while later, her phone buzzes.
Yeah.
Text message. Unknown number.
Okay.
The message just says, you shouldn't have stayed home.
Okay, that is targeted. That's not random. It knows she's there, knows she skipped school. That elevates the creep factor significantly. Right. The dread just ramps up. She starts feeling watched. Then she notices something in the corner of her room. Like the darkness itself just shifts slightly. Not a shadow, but the dark itself moving.
A visual anomaly. Adding to the sense of unease, the feeling that the space isn't behaving normally.
And then the closet door. It just starts to creak open, all by itself.
Oh, come on, the source of the knock, opening on its own.
Yeah, and throughout the night, she hears things from the closet, faint whispers, the sound of breathing. She's basically frozen in bed, terrified.
I would be too, absolutely paralyzed. What could she even do?
Nothing. She just endures it. Until, very specifically, at 3:47 a.m., the closet door slams shut. Right. Hard.
3:47 a.m.
That specific time feels intentional. Like, whatever it was, its time was up or it achieved something. And then silence.
Apparently. But the next morning, her mom comes in and casually mentions, why was your bedroom door wide open all night?
But Susan didn't open it.
She swears she didn't touch it, never left her bed.
So whatever was in the closet, maybe it didn't stay in the closet. It opened her bedroom door.
That's the implication. And the kicker, ever since that night, whenever there's a really big storm, she hears it again.
Here's what. The breathing.
3 taps, distinct taps, from inside the closet.
Oh, wow. Like a reminder. A calling card.
Yeah. And she says every single time she's just haunted by this thought. What would have happened if she'd actually opened the closet door that first night?
That lingering question is terrifying in itself. The unknown potential, the recurring taps, linking storms to that specific fear forever. It never really left, did it?
Doesn't sound like it. So, yeah, 3 stories. 3 storms.
And 3 instances where the storms seemed to be more than just weather. It was like a catalyst, a cover.
Exactly. We think we know what storms bring: wind, rain, thunder, but maybe, just maybe, sometimes they bring something else, something watching from the edges.
Something that finds a way through when the world is loud and dark and confusing. It's a really unsettling thought, that boundary being crossed.
Makes you think twice about locking the doors and windows when the thunder starts, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. You look out into the rain and the dark.
And you just have to wonder what else might be out there, using the storm, just waiting in the noise and the shadows.